Good morning. This is Bob Passy again. Um, seem to be in full tilt into the political season now for the next presidential election. And of course, it's important to kind of keep your wits about you, and try to sort things out and find some clarity in the midst of all of the fog of distraction. The Democrats, of course, have done a great deal to keep you distracted by running. I think every other Democrat that exists in office, far too many people to make any kind of clear statement about what the Democratic Party stands for. And so we're all left to kind of sort out what that Democratic Party should be. And the Democrats should have figured this out. Well, they did figure it out after the 2016 election, but the old guard refuses to let go of their ties to big money, and so as a result, we have Bernie Sanders, who has the real solutions about how we have to break away from this neoliberal economic system in order to rediscover and reestablish democracy. And then we have 42 shades of how we can do not quite as much as Bernie wants. I'm not Bernie wants. I shouldn't say Bernie wants. What's necessary that Bernie has put his finger on. So it's on one hand we have everybody saying anybody but Trump, which is a kind of idiocy in a way, because Trump, it's like the Republicans blamed everything that was wrong on Clinton or Obama or whatever. It all was whatever the latest Democrat was. They were at fault for everything that ever happened. And now we're doing, to some degree, the same thing. We're saying that Trump is the embodiment of everything that ever has gone wrong, and like there was nothing that was wrong with the system before Trump. And Trump was sort of the culmination of all kinds of things that have been accumulating over the years, and he just kind of took the gloves off and said, hey, okay, this is where we really are. This is what raw power looks like. This is where the neoliberal economic system has gotten us, and let's just face it. The money controls, and I'm not going to pull any punches. And of course, that was much too harsh for us. We would have rather had someone smiling while they were saying that and make it sound palatable to us. But it was a huge problem. And we all know that not only was the earth being destroyed, but our lives were being destroyed too, and our future, there was no sustainability in that whole system. And so you have Bernie saying, this is what you need to do to correct the system, and you need to do it from the top down. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going from the bottom up, but it's so easy for them to be dismissed or crushed by the powerful tools that the people with all the money and the power control. So we need some people on the top. We need some good leadership. That's what our leadership has failed us for years and years, and maybe for centuries, maybe for millennia. I don't know. And we keep being told that we need a leader to tell us what to do. And what it's really true is we're supposed to have leaders that we tell what to do. That's what democracy is about, and that's what citizenship is about, and that is what we have to pick that up. We have to say, these are the requirements that we need in order to have a democracy again. And until we get a democracy, all these other issues and problems aren't going to get resolved. The people with the money, as long as they can stay in charge, don't care. They just don't care whether any of these problems get solved unless they can make a lot of money doing it. By privatizing everything that's public, and by using the tax system as a kind of feeding trough for their corporations and for themselves, and not allowing people to have any voice in their own lives or in the future. In other words, just about the opposite of what a democracy should be. Well, I hope that we can cut through. I hope people that will stop And think about it. Unless we get a democracy back, nothing is going to, it doesn't matter who you elect. One of the analogies that I used in my book, Saving Democracy, was it's like they've changed at the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, the money and business took over, and they took over politics, and they built a track away from the democratic track that we were on, and they built a track that was going right to their prosperity and our despair. And but they said, you know, don't worry, because this is still democracy. Every 4 years, you're going to get to decide who the engineer is. And we say, oh, that sounds good. Well, the only problem is, it doesn't matter who the engineer is. The tracks have been set, and they go in that same direction. It doesn't matter whether you have a Republican engineer or a Democratic engineer. They're still going in the same direction. They're still buying into that economic system that is destroying us for the benefit of the few people on the top. And they also said every 2 years you get to hire the crew, you get to elect the crew. But see, it doesn't matter. As long as that train is on that track, that's a track that's leading to destruction, and that is diverging totally from the track that this country was built on, and that was the track to democracy. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to get our democracy back. So you can't have democracy watered down with any candidates. You have to pick a candidate who strongly and clearly says, this is what we need to do to wrest the power out of the hands of the economic oligarchs who run everything now, and take it back to the people. So we need grassroots movements, but we also need to finally stand up and elect a leader who believes in democracy and who will represent us as the people, and not just kowtow to the people with the power and the money. So almost all of the candidates are some version of, okay, we're going to say, and the Republicans saying, well, we should keep the oligarchs in power. And then there's the Republican light, that's the right wing of the Democratic Party, that says, yeah, well, we are making out, we, the people on the top, who are Democrats, are making out just fine into the system. We don't really want to rock the boat. And then several versions of not wanting to rock the boat, and on the other hand, Bernie saying, you got to change the system. You've got to change the system to get democracy back. Without having democracy first, you're not going to solve any of these problems. You're going to fiddle around with them around the edges, but you're not going to solve the problem that's at the heart of it, and that is money. Power of money absolutely corrupts and destroys democracy. Somehow that money needs to be distributed to the entire community, because that community was there to help that money be created. They were the ones that did the work. They're the ones that do the support systems, and they need to be assured of a way to have a decent life. They don't want to get rich so much. They just want to be able to send their kids to school, have a retirement, being able to live with some sort of, not having to wonder if they're going to be able to pay for their medications. You know, they just want an ordinary life with some kind of security. That's all it's looking for. And so you have to cut through all of the hype and all of the distractions of everybody's trying to do their little tricks in front of the TV for you. You have to ask the basic question: are they going to take us back to a democracy, a sustainable democracy? And if they're not, I don't want to hear. They're useless. They're just distraction. So it's time to put on, to begin to filter the information, and to begin to have real clear identification of what is necessary. And that is going back to democracy. All right, we'll talk again soon. Bye now.